So my name is Kelvin. I'm from the Philippines. So I'm half the world over. It's a 12-hour difference. So I'm kind of jet lagged right now. So good morning, everybody. We started development with Asterisk 2003. I still remember my first message to Asterisk users mailing list. That was August 2003 on the topic of Chan H323 with Jeremy McNamara. So, well, after a couple of years, we've been doing a lot of cool stuff with Asterisk, from doing chat applications, doing video applications. We could have even streamed the game of Miami Heat, or they lost. So big fan. So anyway, I'm going to give you a brief history of what we have done with groupjump.com. Well, it started 2008 as a content management system, meaning we like to somewhat alter the experience with Joomla or PHP Nuke or the other CMS out there. It was supposed to be an open source project. We planned to post the code to SourceForge back then, and then we figured, hey, let's morph this into a better platform first before we release it as an open source project. So 2009, it became a telephony platform, meaning we merged Asterisk with a CMS. So you wouldn't find anything like this before out there. So it was a good idea, right? And then in 2010, we delayed posting this online, and then it became something else. So we figured something like this morphing into another animal should not be posted as early, right? So we wanted to make it very mature first, and then release an alpha. So what happened was we wanted to check it out, so we sold it for HMOs, for political entities, political celebrities, and then we also sold it as a loyalty card system, and then we installed it in Singapore for a multinational insurance company. It was a platform they used for collaboration with agents and customers and the whole hierarchy of the insurance system. So GroupJump today is a mixed breed. So we can't even define what it is. But later on, I'll see you a screenshot, or if the internet is good, I'm going to give you a live demo. And then you tell me what it is. Okay? So we wanted to make it not a CMS, not a telephony platform, but rather something more like a social media context. It is not your zip.conf context, of course. It's a concept of having a dumb device interact with its colleague. Its colleague meaning it can be, let's say, a person's device interacting with a person's device sociably. It's a user-generated context. As you have experienced with Facebook or Twitter, what makes it very valuable is that the data from the user would be valuable to everybody after a couple of years. So it's a consumer-generated media, meaning it's not just content or data, but rather including media, but not limited to videos, voice, pictures, etc. And then there's this content aggregator concept wherein, just like Facebook, for example, you aggregate content from users like what I've enumerated before, the photos, videos, etc. Bottom line is, it's all about interaction. So whenever there's interaction between users through dumb devices, you get a social media context. Well, you might disagree with me, but this is just a concept. So we started with the design. Of course, it's not a CMS. It's not a telephony platform. So we need to have a design wherein it can deliver what we wanted it to deliver. So we started with a cloud-based design. So it's hosted on a cloud. So I won't be expounding on this concept, but I'll be giving you some hints later. And then the design should have unified authentication in mind, meaning I don't like my users to log in into a web platform and then later on log in again into a chat platform, log in again into a VoIP platform. It has to be a unified authentication. So later I'll be discussing how you could do that with Kamailio, Asterisk, and Openfire. Next is it has to have a presence and instant messaging solution on it. Why? Because everybody wants to know who's online, who's not online. Everybody wants to know, can I send a message? Can he receive this message after I send it? Can he reply after I send the message? Okay, so you need to have these features on your platform. Next is voice and telephony. Of course, we are in Astricon, so we're kind of addicts of voice applications here. And then there's conferencing, whether it's going to be voice or it's going to be videos. It has to have a conferencing tool. You need to have a way of interacting with several people at the same time, whether it be voice, video, or data. Then lastly, what made Facebook so famous? It's the API. Without the API, Facebook is just another crap, right? So next, we ponder on the one by one, the design principles we have taken. So first, cloud computing, it has to be scalable, of course, secure. Well, a lot of people would argue on the security of cloud because the data is, distributed on the cloud. But in general, if your data is in a it's located in one logical sense, then probably you would consider it secure. Redundancy, of course, cloud computing is very redundant. It can be distributed in several physical locations. Agility, you can turn down, you can turn off, you can turn on, you can turn off resources on demand, and it's cost effective. Okay, this is a sample screenshot from Group Jump. So it's nothing fancy. It's just there. It's just like Facebook. It's just. Then with the login screen, let's discuss more about the unified authentication. So first is the hash passwords. I think a couple of years ago, it has been a norm that we sort of store our passwords in the clear with the databases, especially if you have several applications checking passwords with a single database. It's because a lot of applications encrypt the passwords differently. For example, over the web, you encrypt it via SSL, and when you reach the authentication server, it gets decrypted and then it's checked with a database. If you hash the password and then you get a non-decryptable type of encryption, then there's no way for you to check whether the password is correct or not, right? For developers, this is a very common problem. So, for example, Asterisk zip.conf includes two entries for passwords. One is secret equals to something, and then the other one is MD5 secret is equal to something. You have a choice whether you're going to be storing a clear passwords or you're going to be storing a encrypted password via the MD5 hash. So a unified authentication, therefore, requires a database backend because you cannot just do password handling via zip.conf file. Imagine storing 500,000 user accounts in a zip.conf file. That's going to be troublesome. Next is a web password. So this web password is not just your ordinary web password. You have to take into consideration about the the password stored in your database. When it's hashed, you need to be able to rehash a clear text password you get from a JavaScript, for example, into a pre-formatted hash that you can compare with your database backend. Then Openfire and Asterisk integration is pretty much straightforward. There are documents or how-tos on Openfire's website, and I think also on some wikis like VoIP Info and VoIP Guru, is that right? You can just follow it, and it's pretty much straightforward. Your Asterisk has to be on a real-time database because you cannot be doing manipulations on the fly without having a real-time architecture. Then your Kamailio has to have a persistent user lock. So every time you register into Kamailio, the user location has to be stored in the proper tables. This is a sample of how you would trick Asterisk into seeing your users just as they registered with Kamailio. So the bold ones are the catch 22s. If you're familiar with MySQL, this is very much simple. For example, this line here, what it does is it extracts the caller ID from a zip string automatically. So if you registered into Kamailio, the user lock database would store your caller ID or the IP and the username that you used to log in as a full zip string. What this line does is it extracts the URI for just for that caller ID side. And then, so this particular slide would be available to you through astricon.net. So you can just check it out later. This is a screenshot from groupjump.com. I placed this in the slides just in case I couldn't show you the actual website. So we have several stuff here that you cannot see in Facebook. For example, we have voicemail, we have faxes. So basically what you can see is a repository of what you are doing with your PBX. So for example, I don't like to store voicemails in my Asterisk box, right? Because I have to set up a web server in my Asterisk box. I have to set up a lot of stuff like user accounts, like I have to check security and stuff like that. You can actually interface your whole Asterisk box into GroupJump, and then it's gonna be storing that for you in a sort of repository, but rather on a different sense, because we wanted this to be very social, meaning I can share this particular voicemail for a group of users, right? I can limit the access to voicemails to a certain group. So groups are listed here on the right side. So I have 3 groups there, which I can specifically share a certain file, either photo, fax, or voicemail. And then I have a contact list here. So the contact list is automatically generated by Openfire for web. Then I have a social board, just like Facebook. Let's say I want to say I'm currently in Astricon. Then everybody would see I'm currently in Astricon. And then the cool thing about this is after you do let's say a shout out, a post, you can actually configure this to send an SMS to your mobile or send an SMS to your VoIP phone straight to the Asterisk box. So I think our internet today is kind of okay. This is the actual GroupJump. So a stripped down version. So I have my stuff here at the left side. And then let's say, hopefully this works. I'm kind of having some trouble connecting to the internet yesterday. I'm in Astricon.